if it was morning or afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Charleston County. So I currently work at the Charleston County Sheriff's Office. So currently we're in Charleston City. So there's Charleston City, you have Mount Pleasant across the bridge. Charleston County covers all parts of that, right? So January 7th of last year, Sheriff Ritchie was sworn in as the new sheriff of Charleston County. And he invited me over to come over as a chief deputy. Over administration. Really a lot of boring stuff. I don't do real police work anymore. However, one of the big things I requested is I want to have a community wellness team, and I want to hand select who I want on that team. Absolutely no problem. Let's backtrack a little bit. 20 years ago, he sat down with the founder of Wake Up Carolina, and they started the Mount Pleasant Overdose Program, first one in the state. So with that, we were able to expand. So we really wanted to work that in Charleston County, and I figured we would be able to have a better outreach. I actually first met Krista online. I was on YouTube, killing some time before the council meeting, and I saw where you had a council meeting in Bluffton. And I was like, who is this courageous person to stand in front of these people and put them on the spot? I was like, I like her, I gotta connect. So then we were able to connect. She actually knows a relative of mine, and it worked out. So we were able to connect, and then we started talking about Freedom Fest. And we're glad that y'all are here in Charleston. Whoever brought the cold weather, please take it back with you. Last weekend, we were in the 70s with flip-flops. So, yeah, if I'm not in uniform, I'm in flip-flops, except for today. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, right? Why am I here? Last night it was so funny. I made a point to be there at the event in the welcoming, and when they introduced me, the lady that was sitting in front of me turned around and looked at me, and it was so funny because we made eye contact. And I read her mind. She said, I have shoes older than you, number one, and two, what do you have to tell me that I don't already know? So I thought that was great. We talked after. It was a good experience. Couple things. I'll give you a little bit of history of me. So I started my career in the emergency services EMS aspect of it. I was an EMT, right? In a small rural county in South Carolina. I met a lady here last night that was from here. And I would respond to these overdoses. And I could not understand why we were always going, and I'll use the name Johnny, why we were always going to Johnny's house for an overdose, and no one cared to make a difference, right? So one day, we go to Johnny's house and he's deceased. And I was pissed. Because I couldn't understand why there was no type of intervention. Well, I went back to my supervisor and he said, your job is to run the calls. That was my last day at that organization because no one cared. So I started my law enforcement career in Mount Pleasant. I did 17 years with them, worked my way up to captain, and I had an easy, cushy job. You could not beat, right? I did, throughout my career, I worked as a public information officer. And one Saturday, I was forced to cover an event at the waterfront park. I didn't know what the event was. I didn't want to be there. It was my Saturday off. No offense to the day I volunteered to be here. But I did not want to be there, and I wanted to be home. So I sat in the corner with my camera pouting like a 2-year-old. And this lady gets up, Nancy Shipman. If anybody has met Nancy, she owns and the co-founder of Wake Up Carolina. And she told her story, how she lost a son, right? So I'm sitting in the corner, and I'm not an emotional person. And there's tears coming down my face because all I can think about is I'm mad because I'm here on a Saturday and this lady lost a child. Like, what's going on here? And that was a life-changing moment for me. And I said, if I ever get in a position that I can help her, I want to help her. Fast forward to Mount Pleasant, 17 years there. About my 16th year, I was sat down and said, hey, we're going to revamp our overdose response. We're failing. We got to fix this. Let's do it. I want you to have a meeting with her. So I had a meeting. And let me tell you, she laid it out. I mean, she had a list of everything we were doing wrong. And I said, you know what? I need some wins. Let me get some wins. So I started working on her list and making a difference, right? We started, we had the first Narcan drop-off, the first opioid drop-off box in the state. We installed that, right? So then we started doing Narcan training every month. So small things. And we started building trust, right? And I think that's important in our community. You build trust now. You don't wait till there's an incident. You start building trust together. So we worked on a lot of things, and we started fixing that. I never thought I would leave that organization. But then when I got the opportunity to come to the Sheriff's Office to really have a major impact and do what I really wanted to do and focus on it, I took that opportunity. Shocking, I did not write a speech today. I have a couple key points that I'm going to point out throughout my speech. But what I would like to do, if you see something or I'm going to talk about some numbers, something interesting, raise your hand, let's talk about it. You're not going to interrupt me, I have my list, I'm probably going to get lost anyway. The biggest thing is I want to make sure we cover these topics and you ask any questions that you have. So we started the Charleston County Sheriff's Office and we started a community wellness unit with 6 people, right? We have a couple people in the jail, a couple people working patrol. Their Narcan, this is 2024. Their Narcan is expired since 2021. Every deputy that's carrying Narcan is expired. We don't have a single piece of Narcan in the organization that is not expired. So that's first. The deputies were not carrying Narcan on their person. Some were, some weren't. Guess how many units of Narcan we pushed out in 2024? 101. 101. There was no outreach. We were too busy. We were running calls. We weren't doing it. And funny story, you're going to think, hey, the police always think they do everything right, right? We weren't. We were doing everything wrong. You know who was doing our follow-ups for overdose response? A uniformed officer. So I've never been, and I'll put that out there, I've never had an overdose. I don't have a history with that, but I care, right? The heart's in the right place. But if I woke up from having Narcan, I probably don't want to see the same person that just gave me the Narcan and brought me back off my high. Nor do I want to see anybody with a badge and gun. So we quickly realized a uniformed deputy was not going to work with a uniformed officer. We changed that to plainclothes. Then we realized, how about let's do peer support? Why don't we bring in peer support? And the first door that got shut in our faces, well, you can't use peer support because individuals have a criminal history. You can't have them anywhere near the sheriff's office, right? I'm like, that's dumb. So the first thing we did is, let's contract. We could have contract employees, we could work through that. So we started working through this. And I'll talk about how some of the doors have been slammed in our face. Even ours, trust me, again, I'm not in your situation, I can't relate to what y'all have been through. I respect it, I want to help everyone that we can, and we're here for y'all, and we're working together. And the biggest key of that's going to be partnership. So the message I have today is together we can. Together we all can. So we started a community wellness unit, we get there, we have 6 people. As of today, we have 10. 10. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm up here speaking, but before I go too far, there's 2 ladies here from the Charleston County Sheriff's Office. If y'all stand up and recognize, these are our 6 girls. We have one that works in the detention center, and she focuses on our elders, correct? And then we have one that just got hired about a week and a half ago, and she is grant funded, opioid settlement funds, and her job is outreach in the community. She's going to be boots on the ground. We're very serious about this. We have a plan and we're going to work. I want to talk about some of the things we did. So currently there's a lieutenant that works directly for me. That's another thing that's important, right? So if anybody in the military or anybody in law enforcement, we have to go all through the ranks. First thing we realize is that's going to cause problems and there's red tape. So this unit answers directly to me as a chief deputy because if they need it, they're going to get it. I can promise you that. And we're going to keep pushing forward. We have 2 mental health support services clinicians inside the detention center. We have 2 overdose outreach, one here, one that also works in the detention center, 2 re-entry specialists in the detention center. We're adding a certified deputy to handle overdose response as well as mental health. We've been our advocate for the elders, thank you. And then, one thing that's funny, how many of y'all think that opioids affect law enforcement officers? So we have a full-time on-staff individual that works with our officers for wellness. If they're running into an issue, if they have an issue, anything that comes up, please reach out. We want to help the officer, right? They see a lot of bad things, and what we want to do is try to get ahead of that. We're all humans, and that's the biggest part of it. So in 2024, I said we gave out 101 Narcan kits. Anybody want to guess how many we gave out in 2025? 200, 300, right? 6. How about 4,097 kits we gave out? And that's again the angels that are working the street. Yeah. I'll be honest with you, I'm 90% in the office, but I'm pushing the people to make sure they get what they need. And I will tell you this was a big, big thing for the Charleston County Sheriff's Office and Sheriff Richard. You know, I left an agency where I had a cushy job after 17 years, and I was up next for promotion to go over there because I know we can make a difference. We can truly make a difference in this community. And I hope we have this same festival here next year, maybe in a little warmer time. We're going to fill these pews. There's going to be a wait list out this door, and we're going to make sure that we focus hard on that in our community. We owe that to everyone. 1,351 was distributed during community outreach events, so we're out in the community. One thing that I love, so we're driven by data, right? If we see that we're having overdoses in a certain community, we're going to have a pop-up. We're over there. We want to hand out Narcan, talk to people, what's going on, right? And community wellness does not fall under enforcement. We do not do any enforcement of community wellness. If someone in this room calls 911 because someone's having an overdose, no one is going to jail. No one. No one. Right? But I will tell you this, we will find that dealer, we will hunt you down, and we will make sure we come and arrest you. Yeah. We arrested, and I said we were part of it. There was an arrest in North Charleston last year, and we immediately saw, it was at a hotel, we immediately saw a drop in overdoses, right? Our detectives are going after these dealers, and we're going to get them, and we're going to arrest them. But those individuals that are line level and are running into these overdoses, and they're really trying to get their life straight, we're going to do everything in our power, front to back, to help. Our deputies now all carry Narcan. It's on their person. So when you get, and all of our detention deputies will now carry Narcan on them. So let's talk about someone that's incarcerated. So we made a lot of changes. Before we implemented these changes, if you went to the detention center and you were arrested, no one really knew what you were there for. No one really tracked all of that. Now we have three things that we're tracking in the detention center mainly. Mental health, we're tracking drug use, and we're also tracking suicide attempts. So here's our thing. So let's say we're going back to Johnny. Johnny goes into the detention center and he has a history of opioid issues, right? He immediately gets flagged in our system. Opioid outreach in the detention center works with him all the way through his sentencing. We go to drug court with you, we talk to judges, we help you out, right? When you get out of jail and you're getting ready to be released, that opioid outreach person takes you to Charleston Center, to Faber Low Country, Wake Up Carolina, some of the people that are in here, Seagrove Recovery is here. We take you there with a scholarship from our opioid settlement funds. No cost to you, we'll drive you there, we'll drop you off, and we follow up with you every single day or week until we get you back out into society, out of the criminal justice system. So that's our goal. Do we always get it right? No. Do we save every single person that we try? No. But our efforts are there every single time, and our peer support's the biggest thing. We also have a peer support program in the detention center. I went to the first graduation the other day. Don't quote me on the number, but I believe about 40 graduates have graduated the program. Some of those will come back in as mentors, and we'll help focus on getting them into recovery. And I will tell you, some of those individuals have been through hell. And that's that true? They've been through and it is interesting to see these same individuals and things that they go through. I sat with, and I'll tell you a little bit about building trust, off a little story. I sat with a mom on a Friday afternoon. Nancy Shipman brought her in. Her son died from an overdose in Lincolnville, which is an area, rural area of Charleston County. And she says, listen, my son died at this house. They're dealing drugs. People are going to die. What are you going to do? And she was pointing right in my face. I blame you. I'm like, I just started. Like, you got to give me some time. Let's work together. So the next week, I had to go over there for a meeting, and I stopped by at the street, and I took a picture of the street sign, and I sat there with my blue lights on, in an unmarked car, for a couple hours, and I sent her a picture, and she's like, oh my God, you remember? I'm like, oh no, not only do I remember, I asked the narcotics team every single day where are we at with this case, why we have not made an arrest, and then we have a Dropbox over there, and she goes out and hands out Narcan. Now, I'll tell you, she's no joke. She walks around with her revolver, whether or not it's legal or not, I don't ask questions. She makes sure she gets the Narcan over there, and we've made some efforts in that area. But that's how you build trust. You know, you have to keep following up. I'll text her after today on my way home and just say, hey, just checking in, this is what's going on, this is what we're doing. She'll be like, why do you invite me probably? But that's what makes a difference, right? That makes a difference for every single person. So we came up, funny story, I thought I was going to be unemployed. We came up with these purple boxes, Charleston Center. Have y'all seen them? They're called Barney boxes. They're huge. They're purple. You seen them? So we decided to put these in our high areas. It's like a newspaper box. You open it, it's full of Narcan, take it, no questions asked. I don't need to know who you are, just take it, right? So we put them all over our high areas that we're having overdoses. Well, I forgot to tell the sheriff. South Carolina and Nashville State. We posted this on social media, which is still pinged on our social media if you look at Charleston County Sheriff's Office. We posted on Friday afternoon, we put the boxes out. I didn't think about it Saturday morning. He called me and said, hey, you about a purple box? And I said, well, funny story. I probably should have told you about this. Everyone said, hey, where's the insulin? Where's the EpiPens? You know, these people did this to themselves. So I wouldn't want to challenge a couple of people, and then I saw how that goes, but it went viral. And even though we didn't specifically put in there that this was paid for non-taxpayers' dollars, it's opioid settlement funds, it got the attention we needed. And mothers have reached out and said, hey, that Narcan saved my kid's life. Grandma's like, hey, I had the Narcan in my car, and I just saved this neighbor, right? The Good Samaritan law. As long as you're trying to do the right thing, doesn't really matter, right? We're all trying to help each other. My cruisers have it, my personal cars have Narcan, I fly with Narcan, sometimes I get stopped for secondary screening, sometimes I don't. You never know where you may be, and you may have to use it. So really big with harm reduction in South Carolina. I think it's really helped us. We're still using these purple boxes. We just asked for 10 more. We put them all over the county. That's what Ms. Daniels' job is going to be focusing on, is getting these things out. They are humongous. You have to have an SUV. But we can put, I think, 50 boxes of Narcan in there, and we deploy them. Lincolnville, we have them. Currently, Hollywood, Positive Vibes, College of Charleston, that was our first college that reached out to us. Phenomenal numbers there. That college is right down the street. You can walk to it. The Econo Lodge, we had it there, and they were getting too much negative publicity, so they wanted us to pull it. And I said, what do you think about the people that's going to be dying if you don't get it, right? So just some of these things. James Allen, so we had to go, only one municipality made us come in front of their whole city council and talk to them about why we want to leave a box at their city hall. So the lieutenant's up there giving a speech, and I'm standing there, and I mean, this room is packed. It's hot, it's packed, there's no room, and this lady is right here. Like, I can tell you what she had for dinner. She's right here. And she says, what are we going to do when a kid goes in there, gets that Narcan, and uses it, and it is needed? And I looked at her, seriously, and I was in the room and said, what are you going to do with your child overdoses if you don't have it? And they quickly, and they approved it. I'm sure that had something to do with it, but they approved it, and we've been using those boxes. The stigma is always going to be there. It's going to be there. We have to work through that, and I think we could do that together. So let me tell you about how overdose works in Charleston County. I respond to 123 Main Street for an overdose because Johnny's had an overdose, right? And we give, all deputies have Narcan, usually we're the first on scene. We provide Narcan, we give as much as we need, and then EMS comes over and takes over care. Immediately, and there's some changes going on with this now. At Charleston County, we're looking at doing maybe a day or two for follow-up, and we realize that's not going to work. Focus back to Mount Pleasant, because again, we're building Charleston County down similar to Mount Pleasant. We were able to provide follow-up immediately, right, with a phone call. So that follow-up is done. We provide resources, and we get them into treatment, whether we have to take them somewhere or not. Charleston Center has come out with a app called Bridge to Hope. And a lady spoke about it last night. It really caught my attention. I'm so glad to hear that. Chris Cherry works for Favor Low Country. And if you hit that button, so what we'll do is definitely get them to download this on their phone. And there's a button that says, I need resources. You click that button, and Chris Cherry's cell phone rings. We're at the governor's conference a couple months ago. We were doing a presentation to a lot of high-end people in the state trying to get this program right. And I'll never forget it. They were talking about how it worked, and this guy's like, look, it works so good, hit the button. Let's hear somebody call it, because there's always one in the room, right? He hits the button, and he says, hey, what's going on? Like, picks up his phone, and I stepped and said, what else you want? Like, here we are. So it's those type of things that really make a difference, right? It really does make a difference. What was so frustrating to us is we were figuring out that overdose, by the time someone has a non-fatal overdose and they're trying to get in treatment, we were unfortunately having a fatal overdose before we were to get them into treatment. So that's where we realized the issue was. Now, Charleston does have a program called Critical Incident Management Systems. It's based out of Massachusetts. Every agency in Massachusetts has it, except Boston PD. Charleston County has it, and Dorchester County has it. It's a neighboring county for us. The program was designed to share information among law enforcement for overdoses. When Charleston first got it, we weren't sharing information. Let me tell you what happened. We respond to a gas station in Mount Pleasant, and there's a deceased female in the bathroom, overdose, right? We start the investigation, and I get notified a couple days later that she had had non-fatal overdoses 6 in a neighboring jurisdiction, and there was nothing done. And I was furious, because I reverted back to my EMS times where nobody helped. So how do we fix this? We all came up with sharing agreements. Charleston County just took over this program, and the great part is, the county pays for it through opioid settlement funds. All the agencies get to use it. So we were able to get those agreements in. So if you have an overdose in Boston or you have an overdose in Charleston, the communication is there, the information is shared, and we can provide resources and follow up in real time and save someone's life, right? So we asked the developers, hey, we want to share this information with nonprofits because we partnered with them so they can do the follow-up with peer support. Like, no, definitely can't do that. I was like, well, I'm not taking no for an answer, so let's try it again. Got it approved, they took it back from us. And everybody was pointing fingers. So I got everyone in the room thinking they were going to a lunch and said, which one of y'all pulled our access? Because I want to know right now. We were immediately fixed that day, and that program is now developed all in Charleston County. So if there is an overdose in Charleston City, right here, North Charleston, everybody communicates the information together. Every law enforcement agency has a trusted partnership that does the follow-ups, right? So the first thing that comes to mind, HIPAA. HIPAA, you can't share anything. Guess what? The information is entered by law enforcement from police reports, which is public information. So now what? Now what you got? Right? So now we're able to share that information. When EMS gets involved, it's a little shaky because you do run into HIPAA, so we put it back on the law enforcement. But that's where the law enforcement has to have shared partnership, trusted partnership with the community. And that community and that nonprofit's got to have that same trust back. But that has really, so in Mount Pleasant, we implemented that program our first year, 40% reduction in non-fatal overdoses. When that happened, guess where my first stop was? The governor's office. I got a lot to talk about. Let's talk about this. So we presented at the National RX Conference. We presented at the South Carolina Governor's Conference. We presented at PARI, Police Assisted Recovery. We presented at, I can't remember, but we presented all these things to talk about people. And our whole point is, if it's working here, why are y'all not doing it? And you know, if law enforcement is good about anything, it's not sharing information. Let me tell you, 18 years, I can tell you that. So we started doing it, and I think that's going to be a big change for us. But if it wasn't for Favor Low Country stepping in and Wake Up Carolina and our trusted partnerships, we wouldn't be in the spot we're in today. And that's important to us. Charleston County Sheriff's Office is taking over as a SIMS administrator. So that program we talked about, we meet once a week every Wednesday. Law enforcement's in there, nonprofits are in there, clinicians are in there, and we talk about what we're seeing. Hey, we're seeing a purple drug over here, we've got a couple of fatals, what's going on? The coroner's office is part of it, we're all sharing information real time. But also, on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, if something's going on, we got group chats to back us up, right? Like, we're going to get jumping on this and try to make sure we get it going. And it really has made a difference for us. And I think that's the biggest thing with us. The thing is, you have to have trust. And that's what's important. Again, we talked about how we didn't always get it right, but we worked through some of those things. Two things that I want to make sure I bring up before I go into my conclusion. One, Charleston Center is an amazing organization. If you have not been there, did y'all get a tour? Yeah. Yes. There we go. Charleston Center is a county-owned facility, same county I work for. They have detox, they have sober living, they have step down, step up, whatever you need. That program has changed the lives of Charleston County. We do not use it. Sobering services, yes. So let me tell you a little story about that. You get pulled over, or you're walking down the street and you're intoxicated, right? Let's not take you to jail. Let's take you to the sobering center. If you want to write a ticket, write the ticket. Don't take them to jail. Let's take them over to Charleston Center. Let's get them to sober up, and let's see if we can't get them into service. There is a piece of data that I saved. This information has not been shared from the coroner's office yet in Charleston County. I saved it for this, so this is the first time it will be released. In 2024, we had 100 fatal overdoses in Charleston County. 100. I'm sorry, let me correct. 174. 174 in 2024. Currently, for 2025, the numbers are still working through the last 30 cases. We're going to look at a max of 130. We're taking 100, we're taking a max of 130. Our work is there. Our work is there, right? And it's all of us working together. It's not law enforcement doing it. It's not nonprofits doing it. It's everybody working together, sharing information, and getting it done. And that's what's important to us. One thing I do want to also mention, and this is also not public information yet, but it will be now. We are looking at a special project. So one thing that I love about where I work, my sheriff tells me, if you want to do it, just give me a heads up on like the purple boxes. We're going to start a project that's similar to the Yellow Line Project out west, right? So you have 4 or 5 charges that we could, if you're going to take this individual to jail, if they're on this sheet, there's a line. When you cross that line, you're in detention. It is what it is, right? You'll have people inside working with you. But if you don't want to cross this line and you're part of this 4 or 5 charges, we're going to hold these charges. The judges have already signed off on it. We're going to hold these charges and we're going to get you into treatment. You complete this treatment program, this charge never goes on your record.
Yeah.
The County Sheriff's Office is going to pilot this program. If it works, we're going to extend it further out to other organizations. It will work. We're dedicated to it. This is going to help reduce jail population. This is going to help get people into services. One thing that I do want to say is when we get someone into services, we don't stop communicating with them. The SIMS program, we track it daily, every 5 days, 10 days. We're checking. Wake Up Carolina, favorite low country, checking. And what I love about that program is not used for law enforcement activities. It's for tracking overdoses and getting people into services. And long term, if we get out with Johnny on the side of the road, we know he just came from Charleston Center last week, let's take him right back. Let's not take him to the jail, let's take him right back. And by the way, Johnny is the name I always use. That's right. In conclusion, this is what I want to say, right? It can be done. I want you to challenge your legislators. I want you to challenge your elected officials. Challenge your sheriffs, your police departments, and it can be done. Share my contact with any and everyone, and I'll be glad to do so. We got a couple counties in South Carolina that's trying to get on board. So here's the thing. These counties have this money and don't know how to spend it. We need to hold them accountable, and they need to spend it correctly. They need to spend it where it should be, not buying things that are not part of the Opioid Settlement Fund. I sit on the South Carolina Opioid Settlement Fund Center of Excellence Board. I'm the only law enforcement officer in the state, and I hold these people accountable. Let me tell you, if I find out they're using this money on something they're not supposed to, I'm knocking on the door, I'm ringing a phone. And if they don't answer, I will go to their house. Don't take no for an answer, right? Do not take no for an answer. I was told no. There was organizations, and I'll tell you another fun story. There was organizations that laughed at us when we started Mount Pleasant. When we put out that first press release for a 40% reduction, it was shocking. I had a police chief that I was trying to convince. We need to change this. We need to fix this. Your area, we've got to work on this, right? She said, we don't have overdoses. I said, oh, you're number 2 in the state, and you don't have overdoses? You can't turn your eye to it. You can't turn your eye to it. It's there. Help each other, right? We're here to help you. The other thing is, accept doors being closed in your face. I'm sure a lot of people here could recognize that. Kick those doors in. I mean, please don't say I said do it. Do not let people tell you no. I'm telling you, go back forth. People will tell you, I heard somebody say earlier, she was the mouth of the South. We must share that title. There we go, we must share that title. That's what we also will. Build relationships now. Mount Pleasant has an overdose event every year. They recognize everyone that has passed away. It's an amazing opportunity. I was there 2 years ago helping set up, and I'll never forget it. The lady who I've known, I've been called since she's been arrested. She's holding the hammer where hammer sticks, and she's holding the hammer like this. She said, you know, I never thought I'd be this close to a deputy with a hammer. And I'm like, yeah, me either. And then another funny story, my barber, and that I go to quite regularly, it's so funny, he was shaving my neck a couple weeks ago, and he says, you know, I never thought I would ever be this close to a deputy's neck in uniform with a knife. And I was like, oh. And he's much bigger than me, and we laughed. And Asa, who's from Favorite Low Country, she said that's one of, you know, he's in recovery. He's had 4 or 5 relatives that have passed away. He gives speeches. The other day when he cut my hair for this, he said, man, you're going to knock it out of the park. I can't wait to watch it online. You can probably watch it now. You never know in the community who's going through what. Everybody's a human, and we just have to be there for each other and have compassion and treat everybody with dignity and respect. One of the big things we do not allow is we don't use the word addict at the sheriff's office. It's just not allowed in our building. You know, even when other people say it, even when an individual that has substance use disorder says it, it makes me cringe, because we don't want that in we don't want anyone to feel the stigma or feel like they've been judged. And again, like I said in the beginning, never forget and always remember, together we can. Thank you.